Salutations, spooks, spirits, and specters, and welcome back to more Corpse Party Book of Shadows as episode 7 continues. Let's get over here. The lab's going to be locked up as per usual, right? Yep. Any corpses? No corpses. Yeah, normally these hallways had traps on them that you had to avoid. The word infirmary was written on the plate above the door. Somehow the room just felt like it would be deserted. I was oddly confident about that. Not sure why I felt that way, to be honest, but for good measure, I shouted, "Is anybody in there?" We still hadn't found Mitsuki after all. I didn't hear her call back though, so really, we had no business in this room whatsoever. Wait, was that a key sticking out of the lock? Who would have locked the door but left the key? What would be the point?
Oh, なんだこれ。扉に鍵刺さってるぜ。
何してんの？
中に化け物でもいたら大変だろ。出てこれないようにしてやった。
その鍵どうするのよ。
俺が持っとくよっと。
Man, that animation of the key going up into the air and then going back down as the camera moves up.
危ないな、投げないでよ。
I could understand why they couldn't just replicate that same thing here with the whole visual novel aspect, but
キャッチうめえだろ。まだ高く投げられるぜ。
Pain in the ass. Shimada was such a pain in the ass. I really couldn't stand that guy. Oh, we just...
しつこい、分かったからやめて。
ここ天井高えな。よし。ふっ。な。ああ、どこ行った？まあいいや。知らね。
And now the infirmary was cut off from us if we needed it. Brilliant. Wow, we skipped traversing a lot of places. We just cut straight over to here, huh? I rushed over to the door, hopeful yet afraid, knowing it might not open, but praying this horrid place would show us at least a little mercy. Gingerly, I raised my hand and pushed on it, and it swung open without even the slightest hesitation. It seemed almost too easy. It was unnaturally dark outside, though, and the rain was coming down so hard that peeking my head out for just a moment left my uniform completely soaked. Shimada pushed past me, throwing the door open even wider with his usual lack of regard for anyone and anything around him. My clothes went from soaked to drenched in a matter of seconds. If I were to actually walk out into it, I felt like I'd drown.
なんだこりゃ。真っ暗だぞ。 森？
ひどい雨。こんな中外に出て行ったら服びしょ濡れになりそう。
そりゃ見てみてえな。
けど外に出られることは分かったね。片山たち連れに戻ろう。ね、ゆうや。
Despite our having found a way out, Yuya's demeanor hadn't changed a bit. He was standing back by the hall, where he could watch over us while also keeping an eye out for anyone else who might happen by. The model of maturity. Shimada, on the other hand,
頑張れよ。俺はもう出るぞ。こんなわけわかんねえところとっとと出るに限るぜ。片山のところになんか戻らねえよ。
マジで言ってる？
当たり前だバカ。脳なしから順番に死ぬようになってるんだよ。あんな奴ら放っとけよ。
びっくり。いいんだこんなやつ。
よう桐崎、お前も来いよ。
the tone in his voice said it all. He'd hit the ultimate low. After abandoning his friends to save his own hide, he was now basically propositioning me.
お前には死んでほしくないんだ。前から大事に思ってたからさ。
With an obviously rehearsed and truly sickening pickup line. He really was the slime ball to end all slime balls.
信じらんない。何お前、こっち見んなよ。
I couldn't believe he had the nerve to pull something like this. I felt like that may have been the first time I'd ever truly yelled at someone. I was absolutely livid. And he wasn't even done. No, he still had plenty of salt left to throw in the wound.
うるせえブス、調子乗ってんなよ。せっかく行かせてやろうと思ったのによ。後悔しろや。
死ねえ。こいつマジ切れる。行こう、ゆうや。
My head was swimming. I was scared, I was angry, I was sad. Every negative emotion brought to the forefront, and every positive emotion pushed away. I didn't look back. I just turned away from Shimada, walked over to Yuya's side, and continued past him into the hallway. Yuya had been watching all of this unfold from the other side of the room, and for a moment he just stood there, staring blankly at Shimada.
あ？何見てんだよ。消えろよ、能面野郎。
Shimada then drew a large knife from his breast pocket. Its tip struggled to glisten in the dull light of the room, but it did ultimately succeed. He began waving it around like a dumbass, probably thinking it made him look more menacing.
見ろよこれ。昨日買ったんだよ。使えそうだろ？いろいろ。
お前は本当に面白いな。
え？
あいつ女10人くらいいるんだよ。信じられる？何が大事に思ってたよ。どんだけ女の子バカにしてんの？マジ許せない。
I was indignant. I was fuming. I just kept cursing and mumbling as I fast walked back to the third floor to meet up with the others. And all the while, Yuya was keeping pace with me, saying nothing at all. Always the model of maturity, always even-tempered. He really was like a rock. Or maybe he found my mutterings annoying and was just keeping quiet so I'd do the same. I didn't like that possibility one bit, so I mentally slapped myself on the cheek, forced positivity in my voice, and tried to engage him in cheery banter.
Yuya はその点誠実だよね。女の子傷つけたこと一回もないでしょ。超モテるのに悪い噂聞いたことないもん。ある意味すごいよ。
I looked him squarely in the eyes, as if asking him, "Isn't that right?" And for a moment his eyes did meet mine, but then they went right back to the hall. Was he not used to receiving compliments from women? That seemed hard to believe.
よくわからない。
What a cute, innocent response. I must have come across as bipolar to him or something. One second I'd try to lighten the mood with small talk or compliments, and then I'd start to feel scared of this school again, or angry at Shimada, or sad at Katayama. My mind just couldn't make up its mind what to feel.
Mitsuki だよね、今の声。下の階だ。
Chapter 5 BGM! I love this. That's nice. The determination music. We're going to get out of this school. Mitsuki's voice echoed up from below, but our friends were waiting for us above. For a moment, I wasn't sure which direction to go, but only for a moment. The fact is, our friends were very, very close. So close that it would be foolish not to tell them what was going on before chasing after Mitsuki.
急ごう。エミや片山たち連れてみんなで下に行こ
うよ。Yuya just nodded and began running up the stairs, and I was right behind him.
お待たせ。出口見つかったよ。さあ、みんな行こう。
I was out of breath, staring down at the ground and talking to what I assumed would be 3 very attentive friends. But then I looked up. They were all there, but there was no immediacy, no urgency on anyone's face. Emi and Okawa weren't even looking at me, nor at Yuya, but at Katayama. They were fixated on his face, and each bore a sad, hopeless, empty expression. And they certainly weren't about to get moving. There was a general heaviness in the air. Something was very wrong. I gently rushed out my hand and touched Emmy's shoulder.
どうしたの？トコ、ダメ。片山くん、どんどん衰弱してる。
陽介、喋らなくなったよ。どうしよう、陽介。
Emmy's eyes were filled with tears. Okawa, too, was cradling Katayama's head and looked like he'd been crying this whole time. His eyes were bright red and his nose was running. Yuya, still saying nothing, just walked over to Katayama's side, bent down, and began examining his wound.
ゆうや。
急いだ方がいい。
The four of us silently but unanimously agreed that our best course of action was to pick up Katayama and bring him out through the exit we'd discovered. And we had to be very, very quick about it, or he really would die. I could tell just by looking at him that his time was almost up.
キザミくん、背負える？
あ、背に乗せるのを手伝ってくれ。
涼介、頑張れ。みんなが助けてくれるぞ。
As this was all going on, I had that nagging feeling like I was forgetting something. Of course, Mitsuki. We had to go find her. We couldn't just leave her behind after all.
ゆうや、どうしよう。私2階ちょっと見てきていい？美月の声が気になるんだ。遠くに行っちゃったら。
He didn't even have to say anything this time. His eyes told the whole story. Got it. I know I can trust you with this task, they said. And that was enough for me. I shot off down the hall like a bullet. I was determined to find Mitsuki and rejoin everyone en route. I hurried down to the second floor. But Mitsuki's voice was coming from even farther down. I'd have to keep going to the first floor ahead of the others. All right. We were over here when everything got taken out of my hands. No bodies. Any bodies? No bodies. Any bodies? No bodies. Anything on the stairs? Nothing on the stairs. How about the base of the stairs? Oh, there is a body on the stairs. There's a thoroughly decomposed corpse here. The name on its name tag sounds male, but it's a little hard to tell. Matsukaze Prefectural High School. Motohiro Suzuki. Any other bodies? No bodies. Take a right. Towards the second wing. Door should be locked. Frozen in place as if it's just a decoration on the wall. Can't be opened. Anybody's? Nobody's. Alright. I'm just gonna drop a quick save here. Because instinct reminds me, or rather memory reminds me, that it's around here that the ghost boy shows up. Anybody's? Nobody's. Anybody's? None. Can I check the exit? Anybody's? Nothing in the shoe lockers. Let's head over here.
さっき美月の声が聞こえた場所から考えると、これ以上先だと聞こえないよね。戻ってみよう。
That's fine. But there's a body right there. It's a thoroughly decomposed corpse. Having gone completely skeletal, it's virtually impossible to determine age or gender. Fortunately, the deceased's name tag seems to have survived and identifies him as a male student from a trade school. Komashiro Trade School, Turu Takahashi. See, that makes sense why you would block that off. It doesn't have to be a hole in the floor. It could just be a character like, you know, it doesn't make sense to go this way.
さっき美月の声が聞こえた場所から考えると、これ以上先だと聞こえないよね。戻ってみよう。
Oh, really? There's body then. It's a half-decomposed corpse. Though kind of hard to tell, it appears to be the remains of a female senior high school student. She still seems to be loosely gripping her student ID name tag in one of her hands. Kurashiki Industrial High School, Leona Umura. Well, I've already checked everywhere else, so we're gonna have to go back upstairs. If I kept running in circles like this, I'd never find her. I was in a state of panic, and I was allowing it to steer my path. Frustrated with the situation, and with myself for choosing to give up and head back empty-handed, I forced myself to stop and turn. I was going to do what I should have done in the first place. Call out Mitsuki's name with everything I had in me, and hope she responded.
美月！美月！どこ？みんないるよ！
No answer. Just the cold, lonely sounds of rain and wind bearing down on this old, dilapidated building. This may have been a fairly large school, but sound traveled well in here. If she were anywhere in this hallway, I'm sure she would have heard me. And if she were just here only minutes ago, she definitely should have been around now. Could something have happened to her?
美月！
Okay, you still have that blocked off. At this point, we usually just head straight on back, and that's when the ghost interrupts, I believe. I think there's an earthquake. There he is. There he is. down or game over, I'm going to avoid that. So we should head back to the first floor. Because we're running away from it, it's chasing us. Or was that wrong? Was I supposed to talk to it? Was I supposed to interact with it? It's not gonna let me go that way. It's not gonna let me go that way. Did I go the wrong way? I did go the wrong way. What the hell was that? What had just appeared in front of me? I'm pretty sure this is a friendly one, so we'll talk to it. From the looks of it... Hold on, I'm gonna sneeze again. From the looks of it, you're another victim dragged here against your will, no? Well, I'll tell you now. There's no escape from this school. There is nothing to be gained here but despair. Though if you've got an iron will, you might be able to survive for a little while at least. Here, you should have this. It'll help keep the wandering spirits at bay, though it only works once. So take it, get out there and fight like hell. Stay alive as long as you possibly can. The spirit vanished, but lying on the floor below where it had been was a gemstone. Specifically, a violet-colored gemstone, probably an amethyst. So I can use that to keep the wandering spirits at bay one time, huh? I guess he meant the full-body ones, or it would have kept him at bay too. Either way, with this gem, I felt like I could actually get back to my friends safely. I was as hopeful as one could expect, all things considered. Acquired amethyst. Of course, he also said there was no escape from here. But it was my prerogative to believe what I wanted to believe and ignore what I wanted to ignore. Those places are still locked up. Okay, I haven't done this all that much. So do we go back? Do we throw the amethyst at the boy's body and be like, take that? Well, I do believe if I didn't have too little time left, I would have actually given it a shot, but we'll do that next time. So until then, thank you all very much for watching, and ciao for now. Ciao.